live, so we'll see what happens.
Awesome.
It says live on Facebook, but I'm watching and it's not quite live yet, so we'll see what happens. Sometimes there's like a little delay as well, so yeah. All right. It looks like we might actually be live. Let's see what happens. I spelled instructor wrong, but you know, hey. Okay.
Oh, small matter.
All right. Yay, we're live. I think it's working.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay. Hello, everyone. When you are here, say hello. I'm sharing to my personal page real fast because a lot of people don't know where we are. They're like, well, no, where were you live? I missed it. And so, yeah, so hello. When you are here, say hello. I can't see any comments yet, but sometimes it just takes a minute for them to show up. I see Yuri is here, but I don't see comments. Oh, there we go. Hi, Miyuki. Good morning. Okay, hello, everyone. I am here with our next instructor for FCBDU. Many of you might know her. It is SuperBeth of Tamarind. And I'm really, really excited to have her on today. So for those of you that don't know, of course, we're gradually adding more and more instructors all the time to FCBDU. And Beth, who we're going to meet today and chat with today, has been on my list of instructors to invite. I've loved working with her in the past. We were filming Volume 9 together. And of course, on FCBDU, I've always been wanting to reach out to these instructors that have contributed so much to our community and to our movement vocabulary. And so I kind of finally got the nerve to ask Beth a few months ago. I was like, and I was like telling her about the site, and I kind of felt like I was asking her out. And I was like, so if you're interested, I'd love to have you on. Like, I was so worried she'd be like, no. And so I was really excited when she was just so gracious and excited to be a part of our team. So thank you so much. So when you're here, say hi. And of course, if you have any questions for Beth, we will take them gradually. And I have some also to join in. So I just want to start by, of course, introducing Beth. So Beth, hello. Will you tell us a little bit about yourself for people that maybe don't know who you are?
Sure. So hello, everybody. I appreciate you coming out for what is us in America a Sunday morning or a Sunday afternoon, depending upon where you're at and the time schedule here. And for anybody overseas, thank you heartily for being up very, very late, probably in your evening. So my name is Beth. It feels like I'm in school. My name is Beth. My nickname, affectionately referred to as SuperBeth. And I, outside of belly dance, I'm a mom. I have 3 kids, married, craziness in my life, much like a lot of other people. In my professional career, I am the director of Tamarind Tribal Belly Dance, or now Tamarind Belly Dance, and the owner of Tamarind Studio, the dance studio, which is the namesake. So yeah, I don't know.
It's like, I don't know what I like, long walks on the beach. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Like I like sarcasm and bad humor and yeah.
All of the things. So I have something that I've been wanting to ask you for a little while. I want to ask, like, where did the super part come from for SuperBeth?
Yeah, well, it was actually, well, there's debate, believe it or not, because when I first met Jennifer Nolan, she was in a troupe called Barika, which was very popular in the city of Milwaukee. And with Barika, she had another troupe mate by the name of Kelly, who was in there as well. The thing about it is, Jen says she gave me the nickname Super because I would go to ballet dance classes first and then come to belly dance afterwards. But Kelly said, no, it's me. So I usually defer to Jen on that one. But, but in theory, it was either Jen or Kelly who gave me the name because they just thought I was kind of crazy, and they're like, "Oh my God, SuperBeth, look at you." So yeah.
Nice. I love that. Well, actually, what you just said, I wrote down because so you went to ballet and then you would go to dance class. So pretty much probably like 3 or 4 hours of like intense dancing, you know, in one of the nights, and you probably did that multiple nights. And then for a long period of time, I would go to Bikram yoga, which is a 90 minutes, 105-degree yoga. And I would take a quick shower and then I would show up for 2 or 3 hours of dance class. And I wish they called me Super, but that time they just called me crazy. So that wasn't a nickname that I stuck with.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I love it. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
I've always been like curious. I'm like, do I just say Beth? Do I say Super Beth? And so I
I
think that Super Beth is totally works. So that's what it's gonna be.
I'm
um,
fine with either. I'm just Beth to a lot of people too.
yeah, just Beth. So, and so you're the director of Tamarind, and I know when I met you, Jen Nolan was still the director. That was way back when we were first doing Volume 9, and that was such a crazy and fun whirlwind of a weekend of like fly in on Friday. If I remember correctly, it was like fly in on Friday. Of course, our flight was super late, so we got in at like 2 or 3 a.m. on Saturday, and then film all day Saturday, film all day Sunday, and like run over to the airport and get the latest flight out. Is that what you remember?
Yes. And
Okay.
that and 110 degrees in the studio, so that every time you walked in, you would break out in a sweat instantaneously. So any makeup you had on was nearly gone by the end of the of the event. Yeah. Yeah, that's what
Yes,
I remember
I
too.
remember that. I remember that because the studio, so in San Francisco, most places don't have air conditioning because there's really only like 1 or 2 weeks in the summer that you really need it. But that 1 or 2 weeks in the summer typically happens in June. In June, it never failed. I know, like, that's when Devyani would always go to San Francisco and do devotion or film a DVD or perform, you know, there's some kind of performance. And those girls always thought, like, those damn Alabama girls brought all that heat with them every single time. But we had to close all the windows, black all of everything out, and then we have all of those lights on us. So yeah, all the glistening that was happening on our faces in the DVD was like sweat.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, to me that felt like Bikram belly dance.
There you
That was
go.
pretty much what it was.
Exactly. So just want to take a time out and say hello to everybody that's joined us. So Miyuki and Melissa, hi Cindy, and Chrissy, hi Chrissy, and Charlene and Kristine. So we have Tennessee, Washington, Germany, Italy joining us. So when you all are here, say hello. And if you have any questions for us this morning, please feel free to chime in. And if you don't mind sharing this live video out, just hit share, just put it out there, then people can find us and join us in this conversation as well. That would be amazing. Um, so we know that you've been dancing for quite a while, and I know that you, like, I know just from conversations and seeing you at different events that you are quite diverse as well in your dance experience. And so I'd love to start just a little bit with, oh, and Switzerland and Mexico is here. They're starting to put in their comments. Can you tell us a little bit about how you found Fat Chance Belly Dance style?
Sure. It was by pure accident, actually. When I first met Jennifer, she was actually doing tribal style, just a fusion style, and she actually found it. And when I went away for like a couple of months, and then I reconnected with Jen, and by that point, she had gone into the Fat Chance style, and I was like, okay, yeah, great. I'm great with it. I really didn't know much about it, and so Jen actually did a lot to educate us, to make us understand, okay, what it is, why we'd be interested in doing it, and really her enthusiasm and joy for it really helped to sort of solidify it. So finding it was really more about finding her, and then falling into it, really falling into it, and really it has been one of the most joyful things of my life, really. So there's something about that connection that happens with the other dancers, whether it's in a class, in a workshop, in on stage, in a performance, in a drill, whatever it is, that really that makes you feel like you belong someplace. It's got it's got a bonding element to it. I mean, so it was really, really happenstance and a very, very happy accident, really.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you knew Jen and you trusted her and you were like, this is my teacher. And she went in that direction and you were like, and here we go.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
I think a lot of people, when they find it, they're like, and now we're going to do this. Like, because you just see the whole big picture. And like you said, like the connection that you can have and just wherever you go, you can meet people and the language that you can have, even though maybe you don't speak, Italian or Swiss or Spanish or all the languages that I see popping into the comments. And yeah, I absolutely love that. I didn't realize that that was the case until I was already kind of in classes. And then I was like, how does everybody know what's happening? And it was by the end of the class, I was like, I'm in, I'm sold.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that.
Yeah. And the thing that I enjoyed about it after I fell into it, if you will, was I like the spontaneity of it. I enjoy the free. I call it free form, even though it's really not, because obviously it is a codified movement language, but it to me still has that element of dangerousness, which is why Tamarind's logo, our slogan is improv dangerously, because we like it gives you that opportunity to sort of play with your fellow dancers, like, well, I wonder if they'll catch this, or maybe I can trip them up there, because I'm a, as my grandfather used to call me, he's like, you're a little stinker, because I like that. I like to kind of prank a little bit. So I love getting in front of people and dancing with people and trying something out, a different transition, a different move, a different way of utilizing something, and just having that connection, and then being able to read someone else so well that, somebody moves their hand a certain way, or their arm, or they do something, and you're like, the longer you dance with them, it's like almost instantaneous. And so sometimes I've been tripped up myself because they did something and I misread it, because I was, you're trying to Vulcan mind meld with somebody, and so sometimes it fell apart in a funny way, and other times it was like magic, where you're just responding to the music in that moment, and that spontaneity and the creation of the art in that time period is one of the things I actually use to sell to people. And I say, what you are about to see, you will never see again, because it is unique and one of a kind. And really how each person in that moment is feeling the music, hearing the music, what their emotional state is, how they're connecting and bonding with each other, ourselves, and then with the audience as well. So it's really, it's in some respects, it's kind of a deeply spiritual experience as well, depending upon how, how deep down the rabbit hole you go.
Yeah. I got a little bit teary eyed when you said, I get so emotional when these things come up because it just hits you in the heart. But when you said, what you see, you'll never see again, I instantly felt like, and what's going to happen, we don't know either. Like, we're all going on this experience and this journey together, and we're just in it. And for whatever happens, and we're trusting each other. The audience is trusting you. You're trusting the audience. You're trusting the people that you're dancing with. Like, it's magical. It's spiritual. For me anyways, I feel like it's a deeply spiritual practice. And yeah, I love that. You're never gonna see this again.
Well, and one of the other things I tell people is, I say it's kind of like a trust fund. You have to trust that the people behind you are going with you, instead of just, hey, look at them go. Because that actually has happened to me, where I was dancing on stage And I thought the person behind me was doing it. And after a while, they're like, yeah, I can't keep up. And they literally started backing behind me. I had no clue. And I ended up with an improvised solo just happening. And I'm like, oh, my bad.
Right. Whoops. What's happening right now? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think this happened to me, but it was because I was doing a solo with Heather, and I don't know if she's watching, but hi Heather, if you're there, doing a solo with Heather, and she did this really deep layback. Like we did these really deep laybacks, and her turban, her headdress, at the time that was what we wore, just like went bloop. So when we came back up, it went bloop. Like it came back like a Pez dispenser, you know. And so she just like backed out slowly, and I was a new baby dancer. Actually, this was the evening that they invited me into the troupe, so I was a really baby dancer. So she backed out into chorus, and I'm like there on my own. So I had no idea I was doing a solo, or I probably would have freaked out at the moment. But
it's like, yeah. Luckily, mine happened when I was an experienced dancer, and so I just decided to finish with the spinning the rest of the song. I spun for like 30 seconds or something crazy. I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah, I'm just gonna own this right now and just go with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is that sense of trust. And one of the things that I was gonna mention in our talk today, hi everyone that's joining in. One of the things I wanted to mention today is the amazing troupe dynamics that I see happening in Tamarind. So I remember being at a reunion a few years ago, and there were so many Tamarind dancers on stage. It was already like, whoa, and everybody had their gorgeous headdresses and like totally decked out in traditional Fat Chance style, ATS style at the time. And the introduction was something basically said like, this is all improvisation, like old school, and it's all improvisation. And then I remember watching everything that was happening, and I was like, I call bullshit. Like I was just like, what? How in the world could that possibly be improv? And then because the movements, and to clarify people that didn't see it, we'll have to post a link to it. It was definitely all, Fat Chance style movements. To me, what I was blown away with, this can't possibly be improv, was the troupe dynamics of the formation changes that you all did. And I was like, what? I was looking for cues. I was trying to figure it all out. And I know we've had this conversation before, because I was like, how in the world did that happen? And I guess that just comes from that really solid troupe dynamics and being trusting with each other to just try something new and see what happens. Is that kind of how you all work through some of those?
Yes, and practice. So usually what happens is I get an idea, and I think, okay, I think this will work. And I just ask everybody. I actually have a whiteboard at the studio, and I will do X's and O's. So anybody who's seen American football or soccer, where you see the sports team directing with little X's and O's, I do that. I actually will draw it out. And at first, a lot of times I do that first. I draw it out, and I'm like, okay, this is the concept I want to do. Here's how we're going to cue it. And now we're going to walk through it. And so we walk through it. And so much like anything else, we just practiced it. So we just practice and practice and practice to the point where it's so well practiced and rehearsed that it becomes complete improv. But you're right, the trust has to be there, because you have to know. So I think I know which performance you're talking about, because a lot of people actually thought it was choreography. And it was not. It was completely improvisational. And I think it was because we had two diagonals stacked up on the stage from the audience perspective. And so you saw a lot of movement forward of this front, upstage, downstage, front, back. And then you also saw movement stage right to stage left, or stage left to stage right. And so people were like, how did you do that? And it's like, really, it was their individual concepts, and they were just really well rehearsed. And so what we sometimes do is, there are some dancers who are better, I shouldn't say better, they're more comfortable dancing with a particular dancer. So we much like any other group of people, you have friend circles within the larger circle. And so those people tend to dance together a lot, and they dance together so much that they become really good at understanding each other's cues. So if I'm asking somebody who's dancing to dance with somebody not they don't normally dance with, because we do try to rotate, so that I'm like, change the groups up, like take one person out and move them to the next group, so that we get to dance with everybody and you don't always stick with your favorites, because people
Right.
play favorites. And so we would switch it out, but they were so, I feel like I have the troupe in a mindset of receptivity to change and to organic growth of things. And so I love the diagonals. And I was like, I saw it in my mind and I'm like, I know we can do this. I absolutely know we can do this. And so we started with one, then we added another concept, then we added another concept, until we got to the point where we had a full suite of things that we can do. And how we move. And then, having that trust of each other, genuinely liking each other tends to help. I mean,
That helps.
in all seriousness, because, if you don't like somebody, you don't necessarily work as well as somebody. And so the troupe, really, we genuinely get along. And again, it doesn't mean everybody's like besties or anything like that, but we at least trust one another when we're on stage, that I'm not going to do something to make you who's dancing behind me look like a jerk, or the idea is always to dance at the level of the person who has the least experience. You don't dance to the person who has the highest experience, because you want everyone to feel comfortable and happy and joyful. So that was probably pretty long-winded, but it's kind of, it's the philosophy that sort of resonates through the Tamarind, the way I direct the troupe. It is meant to lift people up, not tear them down. It is meant to teach them all to become stronger, not just in their dancing as well, but also as human beings. And so our group is very eclectic in that regard as well. So.
Yeah, I love that. You're getting tons of hearts.
Oh.
Popping up, hearts and thumbs up and all the things. Yeah, I think a lot of us can resonate with what you said. It's like, and that's part of what makes it so special, right? And a part of what builds that trust is that we're not trying to outdo each other. We're trying to step back and let's all come together, and some of us are going to be farther along in the journey because we started early, we have different backgrounds, but that's not what it's about. It's about like, let's come back and let's bring us all together. Like, don't leave anybody behind, kind of a thing.
Yeah. And that's not always easy, because, as human beings, I think we also have a tendency to want to, we want to be recognized for our skill. And so you've got to recognize people for their skill in a way that builds them up and lets them know, hey, I see how hard you're working. I see your skill. But at the same time, that other person whose skill may not be there, you're not making them feel bad in the process. You're still building them up. And it's just different. And stylistically, people dance differently, right? There's different styles. And so also making it acceptable to have a different means of dancing. You know what I mean? So how I dance in my flexibility and how I move is influenced by my background in dance. And that does not mean that someone who doesn't have that same experience isn't doing something beautifully in their body and how their body moves and their mechanics and sort of their experience level as well. So it's really it's a blend. And you, like, as a troupe director, I find myself wanting to inspire my troupe mates to work hard, to train hard, but not necessarily make them feel bad because there's an ego involved. So anybody who's a good dancer, you also have to put some of that in check. You can't, you know, a good troupe doesn't, in my personal opinion, this is my personal opinion, take it or leave it, is about humility as well. So even though, you know, I'm the troupe director, you don't see, I hope no one sees me being a jerk and being haughty, you know what I mean, and being and kind of being arrogant or egotistical, because there's always 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 somebody better. And you know, so you hone that in, and you keep yourself in check, but you don't self-deprecate either. So it's really a kind of a balancing act. Kind of difficult, actually.
Yeah, I love that. And that's actually one of the biggest lessons that I learned when I started doing yoga. Of course, you know, your teacher can say that to you all day long, and then you have to kind of experience that for yourself. And
Yeah.
one of the things I really got into yoga would we like I said, I took Bikram for a long time, and every day or every class is the same. So you go through the same series of postures, and the same as like with other classes that I've taken, like Ashtanga style of yoga. And the cool thing about that is it's not like every day you show up, you're going to get better and better and better and better and better, right? You're going to show up and you're going to nail that standing head to knee. And the next day you're going to fall on your ass. Right? And the next day you're going to get there and then you're going to fall on your ass. And the next day you're going to nail it. And you have to just show up humble, like you said, like every single time, and just experience where you are that day. And gradually, of course, you get there. But yeah, you have to just show up humble, because there's always, the minute you think you got it, you're going to get nailed, dropped on your butt kind of a thing. Like you said,
Well,
there's always somebody better.
well, and you know, your body, obviously I experienced some very difficult health challenges you're in this last year, and you know, your body is not in stasis. You know, you can fool yourself in your 20s maybe to think that, oh, everything's the same, you know what I mean, but the reality is we all march towards a final ending. And so what your balance is today, what your flexibility is today, what your strength is today, what your energy levels are, you know, it's all variable from day to day to day to day. And having enough forethought and conscious um, conscious thought about where you are in any given moment in time, and really trying to connect with that so that you can have some kindness to yourself as well. You know, maybe you had a bad day. And so, for example, today before this, I was actually up on a roof, believe it or not, taking care of some things I needed to take care of on a roof. And if you know, roofs are slanted; they have a pitch. And so when I got off the roof, I was very wobbly. You know, I was like, my balance was off, and it was off because I had been on that pitch so long that when I came to level, my body didn't know what to do. So, you know, yeah, very much like, you know, kid in a balloon kind of thing, you know, I don't know. Or goldfish in a bowl. But you know, so you got to understand where you're at. You know, maybe you were sick and you had a headache the day before, so you're not, you know, you're not going to be at the same level. And sometimes, not as much as we used to, but one of the things we try to do on occasion, at least in Tamarind, is I check in. Like we have a little sit down, and I'm like, okay, what's going on with you? What's happening? And you know, how's everybody feeling? And we haven't done it in a while, but I do try to have us kind of come in. And actually one of the first rehearsals back, where I was really back, like mentally I felt good, physically I felt good, because I finally feel like I'm almost 100%, was like I think it was like 2 weeks ago now. And at the end of it, I had us meditate,
Mm.
doing a standing meditation, and just just be in that moment, so it's important.
Yeah. Yeah, it totally is. I know I incorporate meditation a lot in of course, in my yoga classes, but also just as a grounding before we get started in a lot of the online dance classes. Mostly, I started it in the online classes when the pandemic started because when you are going from work or from home or whatever, and you go into the studio, you kind of have this transition that you can get your mind in the right place, and you just kind of have this ritual. You put your shoes away and you go into the studio, and like this whole mind shift changes. But when you're at home all day and you've got like the kids in the other room and the partner over here and nothing's different, like how do you switch the mindset to like, now it's my time, to dance, and now it's my time to come into my body, come into my mind, and go from there. So I think I'm 100% a fan of starting it or ending class with some kind of presence, and bringing all the energy together with each other too. So I'm gonna say hello from a few people, and then so just pausing for just a moment. So Olgita, hi from Mexico, and Tina from Switzerland. Hi, Janine. And Tammy says Iowa in the house. Crystal, hi Beth. Hi, Crystal. And then Julia says, hi, lovely ladies from Austria. So hello, Julia. So when you are here, say hello. Feel free to please share this broadcast out so more people can find us. And if you have any questions for Beth, feel free to chime in. We've covered a lot of cool stuff so far. It's all about getting to know Beth and getting to know a little bit more about Tamarind and all of the wonderful things that they are doing and have been doing, both as a troupe and also for the greater community of Fat Chance Belly Dance style. So, and Lori says, hi from Canada. Hi, Nora. And Nora's here from Peru. She didn't say that, but I just happen to know. So hello, Peru's in the house as well. So speaking of all of the things that Tamarind has been doing and offering into Fat Chance Belly Dance style over the years, I love that you're here with us on our team here at FCBDU. And I love that you have started the classes with all of the volume 9s. And then we'll kind of get into some other things that you're offering that didn't actually make it to volume 9, which is really exciting as well. But I would love to know, out of all of the let's say volume 9 steps and movements, I would like to know which one is your favorite and why. And then also in the comments, if you have a favorite Tamarind movement, I would love to know in the comments what your favorite Tamarind movement is as well. Okay, go ahead, Beth. Sorry.
Well, I think my favorite is the strong arm. It's probably because, in my opinion, it's sort of the genesis of our evolution. It's the strong arm to me is, well, first of all, I love slow. I love dancing slow. The problem is audiences may not always appreciate you dancing slow the whole time. But I really love slow dancing because I feel like I can connect with the music in a very different way. And the strong arm to me, I play with it. Sometimes it's really deep and juicy and, very, very like a mouthful, you know what I mean? Like it just feels filling. And then other times, I do maybe slow music that's a little faster, and so I'll speed it up, or it's a little lighter, and so I won't be as deep with how it moves. And to me, that movement is really the genesis of what became what we are today, which is Tamarind. It was the start. So that strong arm has a deep place in my heart, because it really was among the items that really felt like, oh, I get it. Like I like it felt like an enormous exhale, where it was just the start of the exhale, and then it just continued outward in an enormous breath. So for me, it's that's why. That's the one.
Why. And I love that. And I love that the strong arm, I know it's hard sometimes when you're like, but the audience doesn't appreciate all the slow and all of the, like all of the things that are going into the slow movements. And I love the strong arm as well, because it really accentuates, part of the reason why I feel so good when I'm dancing this style is just the posture and the arms and the way that everything just moves. And while it's graceful, there's strength, so strong. While it's graceful, there's such strength there. So it's like there's this balance of kind of pulling it from inwards and sending it out, but then this balance of like strength and softness, I guess. And so I guess and also what you're saying, like depending on the music, can kind of pull out different qualities of the step as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I love playing with movement quality with all the moves. It really wouldn't matter which one, because I believe that you should you should have some creative license and some artistic freedom, that if you're dancing to a piece of music that's a little lighter, a little more happy, a little more this, that I know as a technician of the FCBD format, how I can accentuate it to make it hard, or how I can pull it back to soften it, how I can change it so that it feels like it's more inward versus more outward. And I like that. To me, that's very it's very fulfilling to me, to feel like I can dance with the music, not over the top of the music, and be expressive in different musicality, by just changing the smallest minute detail of it. To me, that's where you start to geek out. That's
Yeah.
really where the people who have a surface level understanding, when you're just beginning, it's fun when you start to watch those people make a different intellectual connection to their development. So that's kind of the teacher in me, where I watch them go from sort of maybe a more robotic or stiff type movement to all of a sudden it's flowing out of them like breath, like air. It's part of you. It's not my arm goes here, my leg goes there. It is the symmetry of the whole. It's the gross motor movement, the fine motor movement, with the intellectualization, with the emotional capacity for it. And then when you add in the group dynamic, pulling in, the other people who are surrounding you, and it's again, it's very there's lots of different ways to look at it. I know this is FCBDU, but I do actually have my own format, which I'm assuming you're going to get to at some point. But I have a training for that. I actually do a training for that, and that's actually one of the things I talk about, is how I teach people, and what type of information I give them depending where they're at in their journey. And so, because I love watching those connections be formed, it's like taking somebody who's just learning how to oil paint, and they can't quite get the consistency on the brush, right? And they don't want to put much oil on the canvas because they're afraid, well, it's going to look gloppy or whatever. And to the next part, where they're starting to put more oil on, and they're starting to learn how to blend, and they're beginning to understand the consistency of the paint. And then at the end, where you end up with the master who understands, I can actually layer this in gradient, so it almost looks like a 3D painting. You know what I mean? So it's that evolution of the dance as well. So I think I went off on a tangent, but
I love it. No, I love this so much, and I feel like we could geek out on this for a long time, because so I know you haven't. I don't think you've taken a class with me, and especially not in the last several years. But part of my teaching is kind of what you're talking about, because my vision statement, or my mission statement, I should say, is aligning mind body connection through the art and science of movement. And so, for instance, and we get into this a lot more in my alignment course, but like last October, for instance, I worked with my students on the elements and like bringing in the element of earth into your dance and noticing how it changes the quality of your movements and connecting with the song and parts of the song in different ways. Then we worked with the element of water and the sacral chakra and how that works together and how you can be expressive and the feeling that those connections bring up when you're focused on certain elements and air and all of those things, and it's just, it takes it to the next level and really, I feel like it really allows you to not only connect better with your body but with the music and the people around you. So if you could imagine a circle of dancers all focused on the element of earth for a song, like that is a powerful thing. And so yeah, I just love that. And then in my classes, I also talk about proprioception, of course, but interoception. So how does it feel on the inside, right? Because that's how you learn how to really feel, let's say, the depth of your taksim without just getting into muscle memory or just watching yourself in a mirror, like getting out of that comfort zone, finding your edge by feeling it on the inside. How does it feel on the inside, both physically and like emotionally? How does that feel when you release that little extra exhale at the bottom of that taksim? And so yeah, I totally feel like we could geek out on this. And when you start dancing, that stuff's like not important. And you certainly can't throw that out to somebody like their first week, like, welcome to week 1. We're gonna connect with the element of art. Like, that's just no way. And I feel like there's just more and more.
I feel stupid. That's
right,
what they
exactly. Oh my gosh, it's like, just get them moving. So
yeah.
I always tell people, like, my classes aren't for everybody because I go into that kind of deeper stuff, and I feel like that's when you really kind of can find where your dance affects your life and like your emotional aspect of your life as well, because dance is life-changing on so many levels. And we experience that, I think, early on in leadership, especially if you're in like a corporate type of job and you're managing other people and you're part of a team, like all of those things. And as you go kind of farther and farther, you realize that it's not just about the movement. It's not just about those immediate concepts of group work and dynamic. There's really something inside of you that begins to shift. And I'll stop going off really deep, like going off in this deeper, like, we're going to be one with the universe type of feeling. But that's ultimately like what I feel a lot of when I start dancing and connecting to the things that you're talking about. That's just kind of so much more than just the dance, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So looking in the comments, Kristine says, strong arms, so beautiful. And Natty says, strong arms, yes, still challenging to me, but so beautiful. And then Crystal says, triple Egyptian, which triple Egyptian is actually what's going to be the first class that comes out this week. So I'm glad that Crystal's jumping in there. And then Heidi says, hi, ladies. And Janine says to Heidi, hi, Heidi. So I love the conversations happening in the comments as well. So, okay. So we talked about the volume 9 favorites and why, and I'd still love to know from the people that are watching, whether you're watching now or later, what's your favorite volume 9 movement? And maybe even why, like, why do you like it? Is it just, it's beautiful, or does it make you feel a certain way? Or does it remind you of a certain time or event or teacher or something like that? And we talked about how Beth found FCBD style, and that was really amazing as well. So if you have any questions, please feel free to chime in. We're going to talk a little bit about what Beth's going to offer on FCBDU. And then also I'd love to know what Beth offers outside of FCBDU, because I know that you're teaching online. You have probably some events coming up. You have your own format, things like that I want to make sure everybody knows where to go and where to look. So I have so many classes from Beth and Tamarind, also the ladies at the group at Tamarind, to release on FCBDU. The first one that we're going to come out with is the Triple Egyptian, and that releases this Friday. I think I have it on the schedule. I have to look at my calendar. Pretty sure it comes out this Friday. And I love that these classes, of course, it's Beth giving the instruction, but then there's so many of these drills that we get to see all of the Tamarind, or a lot of the Tamarind dancers coming in and really seeing like how the diagonals work and how the formations are working. And how amazing that you all have found a way to physically come into a space and dance together during this time. So what has that been like, having such an amazing group dynamic and then being like, and now we're apart and we can't come back together? What has that process kind of been? How have y'all been dealing with the pandemic?
Well, we continued our rehearsals by Zoom, which obviously is not the same. So, but I think it actually worked out pretty decently. So we would have one person who would lead. Obviously, we couldn't do group work because, but we could follow. So we would have one person who would lead, and we would switch off who it was, and they would take their time and opportunity to do that. When some of the restrictions were eased, we started to come back into the studio. And at first it was a little rough. I mean, it's difficult because, like you said, all of us had kind of gotten used to being at home, doing the Zoom. It doesn't take that long. You're not driving any place, right? So it's convenient, but you lose that connection. And uh, so we've been coming back into the studio, and I'm not going to say, with all honest disclosure, we've had a couple of rehearsals where all of us are together, but we still have people who are in and out, just due to due to either their job, concerns, themselves. So it's challenging, but at the same time, if there's a will, there is a way. And if there is a drive, it persists. And I would say I've probably been the biggest culprit of not being there sometimes myself, just because of some taking care of some personal things. I've been away, but we get together when we can. We get as many people together as we can, as often as we can, during our normal rehearsals, and you adapt. You have to. I mean, if you love something, you know, you either set it free or you adapt and figure out how to keep going forward. So
It's
yeah,
improv, right? I mean, like that's kind of what you have to do.
yeah,
You
exactly.
adapt, and it's just that's exactly it. You adapt. If you love it, you adapt and you just keep going. And yeah, there might be times where you kind of pull back because you're like, how do I adapt this to it? And not just talking about the actual physical part of dance, but there's a lot going on in the social environment and political environment, all of this around dance right now, and around a lot of different cultural dances, or mix of cultural dances. And so yeah, you have to adapt to the ever changing
Mhm.
life and world. And so, and new, learning new things. And so whether that is kind of like, okay, let me step back for a second and like look at everything and see how can we adapt in the best way that's going to take us forward, and then go from there. And I guess sometimes, like with Zoom, it's like, okay, well, we're just going to still get together and do what we can with whoever can and feels great showing up, and then just gradually the whole kind of a reset kind of thing happens.
Yep.
um
Yeah.
and so yeah, I love
So
that.
we actually continue to do Zoom. So what we do is for the people who want to come into the space, the studio space, we have a camera set up. So if they want to come in, we have people come in. If people don't want to come in or can't for whatever reason, we launch a Zoom meeting and we include those people in. So we actually have regular. Zoom is actually a part of my classes too, because I assume this is kind of where we're going.
Yeah.
Is so any classes that I have them on Zoom as well as I have in person. So I actually do both right now, and I just leave it open because for some people it also could be potentially a price point thing.
Mm-hmm.
It might be
Mm-hmm.
medical, some people may be afraid, some people may not be able to afford it. So the Zoom classes are slightly less expensive. They are available to people who maybe can't drive, people who, for whatever reason, are not well and can't come in. So it's actually, in some respects, it's opened up opportunities for people who maybe normally couldn't take a class or do a class, to have that opportunity, actually take a class with me and to learn some things. So that's it's it was a little weird for me at first, but I realized I just talk to the camera the same way I talk to the people in the room. I look to the camera and I say, okay, is everybody getting it? And then I look at anybody who's actually the sea of faces that I might have in front of me, and I just include them. The difference though, I'd say the biggest drawback, because there's always a downside to something. The biggest drawback is I can't necessarily see their technique, unless I stop and focus on the phone. But the people in the room get the benefit of having the feedback. The plus of that is maybe there was somebody on the camera who needed to hear that, and it reminds them of something, even though I didn't direct it right to that person on the camera either. So potato.
Yeah, I know there's just pros and cons to all of it, but I love what you said, because it's totally true that it, like, this whole way that we've had to adjust and adapt has really opened up the availability to a lot of people that maybe couldn't do it before. I know that in my classes, I have a lot of international students that just weren't able to take classes, with a lot of other instructors. And so I think I have a few students that are taking like classes every day with all these different instructors as long as they can, because they don't know when these instructors aren't going to offer online classes anymore. So yeah, I love that as well. And so I do want to talk about your other offerings that you have. And so if people want to take those classes that you're just talking about, the weekly classes with you and Tamarind, is that through your website? Is that where they would register for those?
Yeah. And admittedly, right now my website ain't that great, just so everybody knows. But I haven't updated it recently. But right now I'm teaching regular classes. I teach regular classes on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And the Tuesday classes, I'm offering either really, really, really beginner or really, really, really advanced. There's nothing in between right now for that offering, because those are the people I'm getting. I have a lot of people who've been with me a long time, and the really, really advanced stuff is actually the Tamarind format.
Uh-oh, we got a little breakup. We'll have to give her a moment to come back in. So for those of you that are just joining, we've got a frozen Beth right here for now. We'll have to see if her internet hopefully comes back in.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Yes.
Sorry. I told you it might happen. I was afraid it might happen. So
now to get a tour of your place.
Yeah. Now you get the grand tour. So the really advanced, I'll just stand here by my costumes. The really advanced classes is actually in the Tamarind format. So it's these are people who've been with me a long time, so they've been hanging out for quite some time. The beginner class is actually FCBD beginner. It's like the beginner, and Wednesday is actually fusion. My crazy brainchild, something that I'm taking from this and that and this and that and putting it together in a choreography. And
I mean, that's fusion, right? A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah, exactly. So but yes, they can find that information on the website. So
very cool. And so your format, is that your own improv format? Is it FCBD dialect? Like, can you tell us a little bit about that for people that might be interested?
Yeah, so I'm gonna sit right down on the floor, so don't mind, you guys.
It's a picnic
happening right here. So it's both. So because I have a background that is quite varied from a belly dance perspective, I just based on some of the classes I've taken, I have moves that are compatible with the FCBD format, that adhere to the rules and the cueing, that are often drawn the inspiration for the move or the group concept is drawn directly from the FCBD format. And then I also have fusion. So I have fusion items, which are, again, drawn from any, it could be Kalina Shakti, it could be Zoe Jakes, it could be Rachel Bryce, it could be Devi Mamak. I mean, it could be just about anybody. And actually, as chance would have it, probably a good segue, we are actually going to have tribal union this year, renaming it probably to Tamarind Union, so that we still have our TU. So this year, our theme is going to be influences and inspiration. So the idea is that I'm going to show and teach moves that came from people who influenced what we're doing in Tamarind, from both the FCBDU perspective and the fusion perspective, and then have the corresponding Tamarind dialect classes after it, so that you can see this is what I did with it. So that influenced this inspiration. And I'm going to do that for FCBD format and then for fusion as well.
Nice. So, I love that. That's how my brain works. Like, tell me what we're like, tell me why we're doing the thing that we're doing, and that's kind of what that sounds like.
Yeah. Well, and I thought it would be fun to kind of show people, well, this came from this person. Here's when I learned it and why I love it, and then what I did with it as a result, and how it really so the influence part is the move as it was from the originator, as best as I can perform it, and then the inspiration is the Tamarind lens. So we're flipping the lens and showing what I concocted with it, or somebody else perhaps too, because I'm not the only one who creates things in the troupe. So I'm still kind of deciding my format. That's going to be in August. August 13th.
That was my next question.
Yep, August 13th, 14th, and 15th, because it's our 13th year. So it's lucky 13. So we're going to actually be having workshops May 13th, like one class, June 13th, one class, and July 13th, one class, as a build up to August. And August is going to have a limited number of people for in person, and then also virtual. And I am going to try to do Friday flow in the three different, what I'm calling the 3 time zones. They're not really 3 time zones, but I'm going to try to do one for Asia, like China, Taiwan kind of thing. One for Europe, like UK, London, Germany, that kind of thing. And then one for the US. So I'm still, I'm still kind of finalizing it. That is not up at the moment, but it's a little plug for it. So yeah, lucky 13. This is our 13 is my lucky number, I should say. So for me, it's my lucky 13, but it's also Tamarind's 13th year of we're starting our 13th year of the troupe. So yeah.
What a fun way to celebrate. And definitely when that information comes out, I will share it on all of our social media as well, and I'll put it on your page. So for those of you that don't know FCBDU, it's fcbdu.com. And of course, we have over 200 classes out there that are all FCBD style, whether it's technique, drills, flows, yoga to support your dance, restorative yoga to help recover and also work with your dance, and meditation, which we've been talking about as well, costuming, makeup, like all of the things. And each instructor has their own page. So if you go to the instructor page, Beth has a page. You click on Beth right now. There's not any classes because she's brand new to FCBDU. So this week you'll have her classes out there, but then we'll also be posting some other information about her as well. Of course, her website is out there in her bio. And so you can always go out and check out all the things that she's got going on. So we try to plug our instructors and all the wonderful things that they're doing, because part of what we wanted to do at FCBDU is kind of bring in all of these amazing instructors from all over the world and expose people to them that might not normally have opportunities to take classes with them. And so if somebody really connects with the way that Beth teaches and her concepts and her styles, like we want you to be able to take as many classes with Beth as you possibly can and want to, whether that's hopefully through FCBD, like you're taking all of those along with everything else, and also supplementing perhaps with workshops and other things that Beth does. So definitely check out fcbdu.com. Our monthly subscribers, I just want to give a shout out to our monthly subscribers, because those monthly subscribers are what allows us to bring in these amazing instructors. And so thank you so much to our monthly subscribers. You can anybody can absolutely purchase individual classes. And that of course supports the site and everything as well. But it's like those monthly subscribers that we can really commit to paying these new instructors coming in for their content. They get all that. There's a whole payment structure. So it's like we pay our instructors. It's not for exposure. So thank you again for the subscribers for just trusting us with your time and your resources, and especially those that joined us back in June. We're almost with our 1 year anniversary. So I guess June 13th will be like our 13th month. So there you go. So, or July 13th will be our 13th month. So, yeah, we're almost at our 1 year. So definitely a shout out to all the subscribers that joined us in June when they were like, I don't know, let's see what this is about. And then they've gotten to see all of this growth as well, and just really take advantage of all of the things that have been happening since, and seeing and being a part of that and contributing to that. So thank you so much. It's truly a community page. So Beth, is there anything else? We're going to see if there's any other comments that come in. Antonio says, Beth, what a thrill. Lots of hugs and kisses. And Natty says, welcome, Beth. Love your work and love your costumes too.
Oh yeah, can you see them back there?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I know I've oogled over them before.
Let me see if I can turn my camera around. I am terribly not great with some of this stuff. So this is my little, don't mind my dog is also going through.
Oh, puppy.
They like to be the center of attention. So this little wall, I created this little wall for my costumes, and these are actually costumes I made. Wow. I made in some capacity. So for example, with this one was one that I made for Russia. So I made the skirt, and then I sewed the sari band on the choli, and then this is a sari. So that was for Russia. This one, actually, I don't think anybody in the wider community has ever seen. This one I actually do veil prop work, and this is the veil.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So I made this myself. It came from a lenga, and I made the top because it was way too long, and fixed it up. And this one I think people have seen. This is my lovely suit that I wore 1 year for, I think it was homecoming at that time. And then this last one, I actually made this skirt. And then there's my, the sari, and then again with the beading around it. So yeah.
And those cholis are like, I feel like I just need to go and get all my cholis out and sew those trims on the arms, because that just totally elevates them.
Right?
It's so beautiful.
Really, it makes them look beautiful. And you know, on occasion we really enjoy our bling. I'm not saying it's right, but we definitely enjoy our bling from time to time. And so for me, it's just that little bit of extra on the choli arm. I love it. I'm like, oh, I just love it. But
yeah. So beautiful.
It work better if you're doing more of an Indian set, obviously, or Indian sets. So yeah,
which is mostly what I do, you know, just because of not only my background with Megha, but just my spirituality and everything in general. Everything I do typically tends to be more Indian inspired, and so I'm just totally loving those. Of course, the suit too, but those first two costumes are speaking to me. And I've done veil a few times. It's not anything that I've gone out and tried to learn. We just did it a little bit with Devyani in a few performances. But had I ever seen veil work done with like a sari dupatta looking blingy veil, like my direction of props might have gone a little different.
That is a dupatta. So that actually is one. And I have done it. I actually was planning to do it for the reunion that I wasn't able to make. I was actually planning to do a that look. So I will have to see if I have the actual video from it and send it to you as a link so you can see. It's gorgeous.
I would love to
It's
see that.
amazing. I think there's actually a video of me doing a I think I actually did this veil, this dupatta, veil piece in Budapest 2 or 3 years ago, but I had an orange sherbet colored skirt and which was a lenga as well, and a sari, uh, or I'm sorry, a choli that I made. I made that too.
Wow.
I love to sew, and so I make my own costuming. If I have like a inspirational idea, I actually will make my costume to go with the music and moves and the whole kit boodle. So
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, I love that so much. I that's a skill set that I don't really have. I get ideas and I don't know how to execute them. You know, like I have this idea of I really want to have a choli. Like if you think about that choli with the sari sleeves, but
Mhm.
I want my coin bra like built into my choli so that it's all one piece, you know, and I'm like I don't even know how to
Yeah.
do that. Wouldn't that
You
be
could
great? It's almost like a really beautiful choli, but it's like more of a Fat Chance style coin bra thing, you know, but yeah, I don't know how to make that happen because then you get like the thin fabric and then everything falls down and so
Yeah, you gotta reinforce it. I can show you.
yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. I need some sewing classes together. For sure. Oh my goodness. Well, Beth, I'm so glad that you are a part of our team, of course, and that you graciously accepted my check yes or no box that I sent out. And I really, really appreciate it. And I've really had to say, just talking more and more with you over the last few months, I've really enjoyed just getting to know you more and connecting more and yeah, just getting to know like the personality behind Beth and learning a little bit about how you come up with all these amazing ideas and your troupe dynamics, and just really appreciating everything that you're doing, both for specifically like directly for the Fat Chance community and also in your dance as a whole. So I'm just in awe and so glad that you are starting to feel 100% and that you are right back in the community and just such a big part of what we do over here at FCBDU. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to take advantage of the opportunity to, to create a repository for the legacy that was began by Carolina and the love that we all feel for the style. And so it's very humbling and very honoring that you've included me. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we will definitely be bringing Beth on for the occasional interview, and hopefully, when everybody's back in the studio, maybe we can do a little fun event with Tamarind, and you guys can show us some of your. Maybe we can do like a live workshop on your fun dynamics and maybe learn one of your formation changes or something like that. That would be super fun. So we could
That'd
definitely
be
talk
great.
about that.
Yeah, I'd love
Yeah.
that. And I
I
know
got
they
so
would.
Oh, good. I got so excited when I started watching some of the videos. And they all had like their custom tamarind masks on in the studio. And I was like, oh, I love it so much. So, yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited for everybody to see. I'm excited for everybody to see what you all have created for FCBDU and for the community. So, so thank you everyone for joining us. FCBDU.com. $25 a month gets you unlimited access to all of the classes, including all of the classes with Carolina, all of the classes with Megha, which is the only place that you can get those classes. And we won't even go there right now because I just don't have the tears in me to share that. All of the classes with other contributors to our movement dialect like Devi Mamak and SuperBeth. And of course, so many more amazing instructors that have joined the team. So we would love for you to join our community on fcbdu.com. Again, thank you so much, Beth, and everybody that joined us today. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. And for those of you that celebrate today's Easter, for many of you, so happy Easter, happy egg hunting and lots of chocolate bunnies and all of those things that you celebrate. So thank you again so much, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.